Well, the growing season is upon us. We're starting to see things coming out of the ground and we're ready to get going. We've been really busy on the homestead this week and we've been doing lots of little projects and there's lots of big messes everywhere. And I'm gonna show you what we've been up to double our food production this year. That's our aim. We're really working on it. So I wanna show you some of the ways we're doing that. On the cheap, really frugal, because we're a large family and that's how we roll. So I'm standing here beside a pile of brush and sticks and twigs and hunks of wood and stuff. Then there's this lean-to right here. And in the back of that we're using that as a brooder for our chicks, turkeys, and ducklings. We decided that we're gonna utilize this as a barn. In order to do that, we need to do a lot of cleaning up. Beside the lean-to here, this area here, you can see there's the ladder there. I'm gonna take you a little bit closer. I gotta watch that I don't trip, because I tend to do that in my videos. If you've watched the winter gardening one, you'll see I fell flat on my face. So here we've got this empty space here. This was full of garbage. Now we moved a lot of the garbage over there. There were a lot of rotten lilac trees. This one we decided to keep up, but we might have to cut it down. There's a lot of fungus on that. The roof here itself was leaking. Hubby jumped up on the roof and shoved some blue flashing, I don't know if you can see it, up between the two roofs because it would leak between, so we can't have that when we have animals in there. And then he swept off the roof and then he cleaned out the gutter. There's actually a gutter on here, this brown gutter here. He cleaned it off and he has a barrel at the end there to collect water. Now the previous owners had a lot of junk, like a lot of junk. Oh, I'm tripping over stumps here. So much junk. This is all junk. So everything from the liner to the stones, all of this was buried right over there. And there's still a bunch of stuff buried there. And just like this pile of junk. And we have carpenter ants, like really, really badly. It's really gross, but it's not pretty. Like when I said we had a lot of cleaning up to do, we kind of opened, quite literally, a can of worms. And everything back here is overgrown and the carpenter ants have caused a lot of damage. So Sasha has to come in here and cut down some more trees with the chainsaw. So we think this will be a really nice area for chickens and ducks and turkeys. You're kind of tired, eh? Yeah. So you've been lugging rocks and chainsawing like a crazy person here. How long do you think it's gonna be till we get the fence up?
A day or two.
So the plan is to get all of this junk out of here and then put up the fence because you don't want to lug that over a fence.
No, we need to get the duck houses over too.
Oh yeah, right. And then I'll let you get back to work. I'm going to show them the rest of the property because there's lots of projects. Because you don't start just one. I can't believe we have a duck pond. They're gonna love it. We only have a handful of ducks, but they're gonna love it. So all behind that shed, tractor shed, barn, whatever you wanna call it, we've got like a little mini forest, but most of the trees are rotting, dying in place. You see this tree here. This one right here. Dead. And there's more of them that are just collapsing. And then we've got like, there's garbage in here and wires and some logs that were cut up and then just left there. So one of the chickens is laying an egg. That's what they do. They let the other ones know they've laid an egg and that they're done and then the other one can go in. I'm gonna take you to the main crop garden now and show you what we're gonna do. So pretty bare still. I've got some things growing. I'm planning to dig trenches and use compost, like market garden style. The thing is I didn't know I was gonna do that and I've got a little row of garlic here. This is stuff we planted in the fall and it's doing fine. It's growing well and I'm not gonna move it. So I'm gonna base the garden around this spot here. Now, when we lived in the city, we used a lot of permaculture concepts because we didn't have very much space to grow in. So we had, like, for example, little guilds, and we'd have a tree. This here is a plum tree. And then I've got some herbs growing underneath it. Now the chamomile is just starting to come up again. Now it's an annual here, but I left some of the flower seeds on it to drop, and then they just reseed. So I'll let the chamomile come back up. I've got more of that growing. I've got catmint there. I've got some hascaps here. But the plan is to put a garden box or two in between the two trees. Eventually they will get big, and then we can still grow things like lettuce, things that like shade. So we're gonna make this kind of like a permaculture area between here and here, and not everything will be market garden. I haven't decided yet what I'm gonna do here. I'm thinking of having a pollinator garden. I had tomatoes all along this fence last year, and they did pretty well, but we found some really cool junk that we're gonna use as trellises. So that being said, I'm going to set up the whole rest of the garden here, all of this in 30-inch wide rows. So in order to double our growing, I am using some techniques that I haven't used before. So the market garden technique, where you grow in trenches and you put compost on top, and you grow 2 or 3 or 4, depending on the type of produce it is, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows side by side all the way down, so that you're maximizing your space. You're not doing something and then 12 or 18 inches and then 1 row of something. I'm trying to get a lot more food out of this garden. And over here I have a strawberry patch. Now the strawberries are coming up. I plan on taking the runners and potting those up and putting those in a raised bed. My raspberries are doing really well. And what we do is we've been taking the suckers and planting the row and just expanding it further down here. So we will just take the suckers that come up in the middle of the garden, like this one here. This one's not supposed to be here. We will move that one. And we're just gonna keep doing that. And that's one way to increase the raspberry patch, for example. They have suckers, and you can just take those, and then if you want them in a row, put them in a row. I mulched on the back side last year. I didn't mulch down the front. And I plan on using a bit more mulch so I don't have to weed as much. Sorry, I'm trying to watch where I'm standing here. And I didn't know this. I didn't get all my leeks out last year, and I didn't know they would grow back, but it looks like they're growing back. So I'm gonna see what happens. Not all of them, some of them totally died, but some of them are coming back. So I'm going to get more of those going. We got some horseradish, some free horseradish, and it looks like there's some life there. I'm excited about that because I've never had that before. We made fire cider with it. It's a moon boosting tonic that we made last year with some horseradish that we got from someone in the city, actually. And so we've transplanted some of that, and hopefully that comes up. My tarragon's coming back. Other than that, there's not much to see. I haven't been out here much. We had a lot of snow and then we didn't have snow. It was just a mud pit, and now it's ready to get going. And we're working on the coop, or the run, actually. Like, the boys are, you saw them getting that ready. Now yesterday we had the wood splitter out and the chainsaw. All this firewood here was either found on the property, some of it was already cut and split and chopped and all that, and some of it we found, like I showed you, under the trees over there. There are some logs that were just cut, never split, never chopped, never whatever. So we've taken those all, and my husband put together with pallets here this bay for firewood. Now that is tarped up. This was last year's bay. It got really out of hand. It kind of was all falling over and everything. All the firewood people would just pull from the middle, and there was pieces in there that shouldn't have been. So they restacked those neatly. We still have stuff like this around the property that needs to be cut and split. So I haven't gotten to this part yet, but we did get a couple of rain barrels, and we've got those hooked up to the gutters. Again, repurposed all the bricks that you see here. And I've been thinning through some of the flowers. We have oxeye daisies, which are an invasive weed apparently here. And I've been cutting it back, and we found a bunch of slate around the property. I thought I saw another piece of slate that I'll put probably right over here, make this path bigger. This is gonna be the cottage garden, Mary garden. I'm planning on putting in between the stone cracks and stuff like that here and here some creeping thyme just to make it nicer on the bare feet, because we like to run around bare feet around here. And another rain barrel. We didn't have any water out here. I didn't have a hose here last year, and it gets really, really dry. So all of these plants in here, for the most part, were here from the previous owner. We added the lavender and the cranberry bush there. Everything else was here. And then we just started adding some delphiniums back here. We dug those out of a different bed. Kind of want to cover the barrel here. Hi, sweetie. Just showing them what we're gonna do to double our growth. So I will put some edibles in here. I like to do that just to have some things close to the house. But this ugly area right now. Now we got just a handful of chickens here. I'm planning on putting a little potager, or a little kitchen garden here. So I want to put a little coop and a little area here for chickens. And then we are fencing in along the property line, because this field over here is not ours, and we're going to fence along the property line as best we can. Where these black posts are, it's approximately going to be, there's another one. Oh, did we take one of them out? We took one out. So there's supposed to be, there's a black post back there as well. So we're going to have a little rectangular, smaller fence in around these garden beds. Now these garden boxes are going to be where the chickens are. Right now I'm letting the chickens do all the work. They're prepping the soil. They're getting all the bugs and weeds, and so we're just letting them do more of the digging up, and we'll till it up. We're going to make a kitchen garden here for the kids. Now 3 of the kids have expressed that they want to grow their own food, and so 3 of the kids are going to get a box, and we've got a 4th box that's probably going to go in the big garden. You can be one of the kids. You are not one of the ones getting one of these. You get one in the big garden with me. Okay? So this is one of the other ways that we're trying to maximize our growing. We are going to be growing close to the house. The kids liked growing in the city, and I'm going to let them grow some stuff. Here's one of my expert growers here. What are you gonna grow?
Cucumbers like usual.
So the idea is to grow things that are quick to grab just outside the door. Like I'm gonna get the kids growing some herbs in here and some lettuce greens, because they do really well. This is the east side of the property. So we have a lot of trees here and the house here. So this is the sunniest part of this area here. So we're hoping that we get enough sun to at least grow some of the things. And they're right outside the door, so we'll see what's there. This is what we did in the city. We grew a lot in a small amount of space. Now I also have some grow bags that we had in the city. I'm gonna pull those out and I'm gonna fill those and get stuff growing in those. So this is gonna be something right outside the door. See, that's the deck to the dining room and right by the kitchen. So if we need some food, we can just run outside the door. The garden is kind of a bit of a stretch, and you don't always see what's going on there. So I'm gonna put bigger, the crops that don't need as much attention, or don't need to be harvested every day. If you've seen my winter garden video, you saw that I planted a bunch of stuff outside. Now, I expected them to be a little bit further than they are. I don't know if I can get a good view, but there are little tiny sprouts. So they did work, most of them. I can't see in all of them. I don't know if some of them haven't sprouted yet, or I don't know. This was an experiment. And then I've planted, this was a planter that we had in the city, and we've got some things growing in it right now. Some spinach and some pak choi and some things that we planted a few days ago. So again, right outside the kitchen. And then I also did some winter gardening later on. I've got my first little kale sprout coming up in here. I've got some radishes. I closed these overnight. I haven't opened them yet. So there's some radishes growing. I'll need to transplant these, but there's some more baby pak choi. I'll need to split those up and transplant those soon, and some black radishes. We're using, whoa, I gotta watch where I'm going, as much growing space as we can. And so can you. I would be curious to see, what are you guys doing this year to grow more food? I don't know how it is where you are. Grocery stores are looking kind of lean these days. We haven't bought grocery store meat in forever. We've always bought it from farmers, and we still do for some of the things, and then we're growing a lot ourselves. We've hatched some ducks. We bought a bunch more chickens. We are not growing meat birds this year. We're not growing meat chickens. We're growing mostly turkeys. One of our kids can't eat chicken. I don't know, it's a food sensitivity or what it is. She can't digest it. It just does not agree with her. So we don't want to grow a lot of meat chicken. We have a neighbor who is a chicken farmer, so we've talked to him. We're gonna buy a bunch in bulk. We can't grow them we can grow them for about the same price we can buy them from him. So we're using our energy, our resource, like that effort to do other things, and we're just gonna pay him to buy his chickens and not do the effort. I know that sounds a bit of a cheat, but if I can buy them for about the same price that I can grow them, why wouldn't you save yourself the work? That's why we're doing this over here. And we're gonna have some grow bags and planters and all of those things because we wanna grow more food. There's a lot of things going on in the world right now. I don't want to tap into the fear. I don't want to get into any of that kind of stuff. But we are a large family. We got 8 kids to feed. So we are gonna grow as much as we can and make the best of our space and our energy. We both have injuries. So it's slow going. We have lotions and stuff that we rub ourselves with. Creams, lotions and stuff. I made some magnesium oil. I rub myself in that every day because I am so sore. We're doing what we can to feed our family healthy and cheaply because a packet of seeds doesn't cost much, but if you're gonna buy a bucket of lettuce at the grocery store, it can get quite, they were like $6.47 the other day at the grocery store.
It's just lettuce, yeah.
It's just lettuce, right? So we're gonna grow as much as we can. Pray that the weather's good. We need rain. Right now we have the rain barrels set up and we can't wait for them to fill up.
Dusty, yeah.
Yeah. All right guys, until next time, we'll see you then. Bye.